Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and today I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of the Idiosyncradeck Tarot. This is by Jessica Bolt. Her website is called The Cracked Amethyst, and this was gifted to me by Jen in a box of books that or decks that she had been was purging, and I had never heard of it before and absolutely have fallen in love with it. I've actually already done a quick walkthrough of this, just like a typical one, but I wanted to kind of redo it fresh because I've actually used this for about a month, and it has just been a big connective, powerful little deck for me for the month of December. And so I wanted to kind of redo the walkthrough just because I also can put in my experience with it rather than just sort of a unboxing, so to speak. So so that's what I'm doing. I'm redoing this. And also, this deck was out of print, and it is out of print, but in January, I think the first week of January or so, this deck is coming back into print for a run. Her decks seem to, from what I can tell, again, I'd never heard of them before, but they seem to, have a limited run, and then when they're gone, they're gone. But this one is coming back because there's an oracle to match it, which I'm going to get as soon as it comes out. There's an oracle to match it coming out, and she's really re-releasing the tarot with the oracle. So this isn't, you can't purchase this right now, but within the next week or so it should become available, and I will put a link to her website in the description box below. So again, this is called the Idiosyncradeck Tarot by Jessica Bolt. This is how it's been sitting on my table, so that, which I think is perfect because look at the backings, and then it's just perfect. So I just love it, love it, and Jen had sent me this, so they just seem like they're meant to go together. So here's the backings of the deck, which are really sweet. They've got the 3 crystals in the middle, and it has a star, a key, and a moon on both sides, so they are reversible with this lovely green. And the oracle is the same backing, but with a different color. I think it's like a purple color. So you can look on, I'll try to remember to put her, but I think it's just a Cracked Amethyst, but she has an Instagram account where she's got pictures of the oracle as well on her Instagram account, so you can kind of get a preview of that. And it just came in this little tuck box here. There's no guidebook in the box, but there was a card, so the artist card, which of course I don't have with me because I don't keep them. Well, I keep them stuffed in things. Anyways, it came with an artist card with a link to go to in order to download a PDF little white book. And I don't know if that's going to change in the next iteration or not, but that's how, how it was for when I got it. So, so she talks a little bit about this being a dream of hers, that she was always interested in tarot, but there was never quite a deck that was just for her, that was exactly how she wanted it. So so she made her own. She said the creation of the Idiosyncradeck was the biggest and longest lasting project I've ever created. She said, now off you go into my world of simple lines and bright colors. I have written here what the feeling I drew was trying to convey, why I used the picture that I did. Now, if what I said doesn't seem right to you, go ahead and ignore it. I love that, right? The pictures to me, she says, are what's important. The words to me are secondary. So ignore my words or reference them every time. Do whatever feels right to you and have fun. And you definitely get that personality through the guidebook energy and through the deck itself, which is based on vector graphic art. It's just very clean and simple art, which you're going to see. Very clean vector graphic art with no people in it whatsoever. There are things of peoples, like cups and things of that nature, but there are no actual physical people in the deck. So she talks about the major arcana, and you can see with each of them comes the number and title, keywords, a description of what she, kind of what's there, which I really appreciate, and then sort of a key, I think, message here. So we'll take a look at that a little bit closer once we look at the cards. That goes all the way through in same exact amount. I mean, some are a little bit smaller than others, but pretty much similar all the way through the minors. And I don't remember if there is a spread. I think there is a spread. Yes, there's a Finding the Keys tarot spread, which has the issue, the moon, the key, and the star. So we'll take a look at that at the end of the walkthrough. So that's what you get, again, in this first version. Now, whether or not that changes for the second version that's coming out, I have no clue. So let's take a look at what's important. And the box is adorable, right? It's just a nice box. It's a decent material, like it holds together. It's not floppy, but it's a tuck box. Okay, so let me zoom this in so we can take a look more closely. Okay, there's again the backing, so you can see those up close, and you can see how gorgeous that sits there on it. It's the little things in life, people. It's the little things in life. Okay, so here is the cards. You can see they have quite a thick white border. For whoever's going to ask me if I'm going to trim this, no, I love it just as it is so much. I won't be doing anything to this deck. Not that I don't love the other things that I do things to, but for me, the white sides works. I mean, yeah, could I find the green? Yeah, but then it would overlap into here, which I don't want to have happen. And the whiteness here goes with the whiteness here, which goes with the whiteness here. So I'm quite happy with the way that it is and wouldn't change that. Okay, so it comes with an extra card, which I actually have been leaving in, which is called the Magic card. Now let me see, I don't even know if I've looked to see if she has that one in here. Let's take a look. To me, it's just about embracing the magical, like what we did in October. So yes, let's see. Magic is the mystery, unknown, unexplainable sparkles. Ingredients are magically poured into a bubbling cauldron. Potions and candles are strewn about. The 4 suits of tarot hang from the trees here. Magic is being created. Magic is in everything. Sometimes it's what we need to keep going. Sometimes it's a way to explain what has happened. Or maybe sometimes you just don't understand. It's magic. I quite like this card. I have had it turn up, and I have really loved how it's turned up. So that's, only other deck that I've kept an extra card in a tarot deck has been the Fountain Tarot. I don't think I have any other ones that I've kept in, but this one, it just feels right. So I have left this one in so far. Now, if I find it doesn't, I'll pull it back out, but so far, it just works for me. I love the little skulls that come through the rest of the deck. A lot of times you do see these little things hanging from trees. It's just a really cute, when I first opened it, I thought, oh, this is cute. And then I was looking at it a little bit closer. I was like, oh, maybe this is going to be my Happy Tarot, because I never could get into the whole Happy Tarot. There's a couple other like really cute decks that just didn't do anything for me. So I thought, oh, this is going to be my happy deck, my kid, my inner child deck, my, the Happy Tarot. But, but then the way that it's been actually working for me has been a really kick in the butt when I need to kick in the butt, succinct, clear messages, and also very healing for the month of December, which has been a difficult ending roundup of holidays and things like that. And it's just been amazing. Every single time I pull 3 cards from it, which is generally what I do for myself, which has been a lot because I've just needed that. It has just come to the table. It's made me laugh at how literal it has been of what has actually going on in the day or whatever the situation warrants it. It has astounded me with its depth. It has supported me. It has all different range of things. It's just come to the table, and so I'm literally in love with this little deck. Now, so that's the magic card. This Fool, you know, that's one, you know, of course, one of the first cards I saw, and I was just like, I love dandelions. I'm obsessed with dandelions. I do not think they're weeds. I think they are flowers, and I absolutely adore dandelions. And so to have that was, to me, almost one of the most perfect Fool cards, because the potential is all in that little seed. You know, it could fall on hard times. It could fall on easy times and green pastures. But it's potential. It's pure potential. Let me see what she has to say here. I really haven't used the guide paper or the little white book, because it's just, you know, it's quite easy to read. It is a fairly Rider-Waite Smith, which generally at the moment are not decks that I'm really looking for, but it just doesn't matter for this particular deck. So the keywords here are beginning, spontaneity, open possibilities, and potential, which makes sense. A little dandelion seed floats away on the wind. As a seed, its main purpose is to create new life. It has potential to create that life wherever it lands: a field, a schoolyard, your lawn. Your lawn could be filled with dandelions after a month because of this one little seed. Or maybe your lawn will get lucky and the wind will blow the seed out into the water. Well, to me, that's not lucky. I loved to have dandelions in my yard, where the seed's adventure will end. Everything has a beginning, a starting point. Anything is possible. Complete success or utter failure. You have to start somewhere. I just love it. I think it's perfect, and that's pretty much what I probably am going to say over and over again. I just really love this deck. Some of it is just because of the deck itself. Again, I had a really positive first initial reaction to it, but then some of it is because I've worked with it so closely for the last month and on such a personal level, and it's just been such an amazing experience that it's even more, you know, I just am in love with it. So here we have the Magician. I really love this card because you don't really think necessarily of this as the Magician, but all of the potential is within him, literally, right? Within the oyster. But it's also the understanding that our power, right? All of that potential to manifest, that a power, that ability that we have, comes from our experiences, because this pearl is built up around the piece of sand. So through our experiences, both positive and negative, is where our power and our strength grows, which I think is really lovely and unexpected. I love the High Priestess. Again, very simple, what's called vector graphic art. Very clean lines, solid colors. It's an art style that you know, generally you see with computer type things. It's beautiful. You've got this little henge here. You've got the waters of the High Priestess. You've got like the image or idea of sort of the northern lights. It's just gorgeous. I love it so much. The Empress, we've got the tree. We can see growth. We can see abundance. We have the crescent moon still there. We've got a pomegranate in the tree. We've got cherries, and we've got little birds in the tree and mushrooms. Like it's the Empress. The Emperor is the mountain, endurance, stability, structure, gorgeous. I even like that you kind of got the reddish tones for the sky, orangey red tones. You normally will see red, more reddish, I guess, for the cloak and things, but I don't know. It says the Emperor. That's all it needs to do, is to kind of kick you into, you know, as I've said before, for me, tarot is a shorthand to kick you into where you need to go to get the message. And for me, these just do so very quickly and very easily and very simply in just a beautiful way. Love the Hierophant. We have different symbols of different religions. We've got a feather here. We've got a moon. We've got a what is that called? The Ankh, like a cross of life. We've got a pentagram here. We've got a Star of David. We have a key. We have a cross. I'm not sure what that is, but it's all the different religions here. And then of course we have one of these cute little skulls. I love these little skull faces. So I guess there are humans in terms of we do have a skull here, and it shows up in a variety of them. But I love it, and talks about traditions, knowledge, confirmation, and belief. But I love that it talks about symbols of long-lasting traditions and teachings. While it says, while they may be hanging on different branches, they all come from the same roots. Poisonous mushrooms grow at the tree's feet, reminding you that just because something looks good doesn't mean it can't do you harm. So it's got that double connotation there. So I really love it. And I love that the little white book, I do need to sit down and read through it, but I love that the little white book actually addresses what are the things in the deck and why are they there, what are they symbolizing. That's something I really like in a deck, because I don't, personally, where I am in my path, I don't so much need to have just the traditional meanings there. I want to know why, what was their vision, and why did they put things where they put them. What does that mean to them? Whether I use that or not can go either way, but it's of interest to me because that's how I'm learning through the perspective of somebody else. Here we have the Lovers card, which makes sense. 2 little flamingos. I mean, it's the lovers. Bam. The Chariot. I really love this Chariot. It's water, just moving ever forward. It's fast movement here, but it's going to be coming down those rapids with confidence, with driving forces. You've got disparate energies with the splitting off, but there is that sense of ever moving forward of that river. I just love it. Momentum, determination, drive. It talks about a river runs unstopping and powerful over a waterfall, racing along with only one direction it wants to go. It's forceful. It's unstoppable. I love it. And I love the Strength card with the, the crack, right? The flower growing out of the crack. I think that's just wonderful. Keywords to use is perseverance, inner strength, triumph, and survival. It's just beautiful. Look at the hermit turtle. I love it. Love it, love it, and love it. Which is mostly, I could just go through and say love it, love it, love it. Because that's what I feel about it. I love the Wheel of Fortune. You have that kind of spinning wheel here that you can feel that right in the middle. But we have a storm that she talks about having coming and passing. You've got the idea of the changing seasons and the leaves falling, but then you've got the growing flower here. So there is just that idea of cycles of change in a very simple image. Justice is interesting, right? You would think this a little bit more to do with the Death card. With the skull, you would think a little bit, but I really like it. It says, a sapling grows from inside of a skull. Whether good or evil, kind or cruel, extraordinary or mediocre, everything will balance out. Life will grow even when everything seems dark or broken. You have to live with the choices you make. Weigh your options. Don't take them too lightly or you could end up with a broken skull. But it's about balance. It's about cycles. It's also mental. For me, it's about mind. It's growing that ability to see and cut through to the truth. You do with the blackened eyes get the idea of blind justice. I think that it's interesting. This one was kind of like, that's different, but I have had no problems reading with it. Look at the sloth hanged man. Love it, love it. He's patient, he's calm, with a completely different perspective from ours. Then we have the Death card. We have the bones here, but then things are growing, right? So I really like this. So it's double. It's got a tree here. So the tree's been cut down. So we have that as well as human bones here. But there's things that are new life is growing on top of the tree stump. Moss is growing. These kinds of things. Everything comes back to the earth, and so that other things can grow. It's a cycle. I think it's beautiful and simple. Look at Temperance. Now, Temperance was definitely one that I was kind of like, it's kind of like, okay, well, what's this? What's going on here? It says the keywords for this are equilibrium, balance, connection, and harmony. Giant plants glow bright in the dark night sky. Little mushrooms illuminate the ground. Only when it's dark can you see the little lights glow. Life is all about finding balance. The easy way and the hard way, having too much versus taking too little, finding the middle ground, don't go to extremes. Even when it's dark, there's light. So we have these glowing mushrooms and the glowing planets, and so there is that sense of light in the dark, right? So we have darkness and light, and yet they both are existing at the same time. So very interesting and different perspective to that. The devil as well, with the spider as the devil, but we have this, you know, caught in the trap. So the spiders have been showing up for me a lot this year, but more in the sense of creativity, whereas this one is definitely, we're getting the possibility of getting caught in this little trap. He wasn't paying attention and he got stuck in there. But that is part also of the spider, you know, mythology. They do set traps, and things, if they're not paying attention, will get caught and have a really difficult time getting out of it again. So the tower is a volcano, which certainly makes sense and is just simple and gorgeous. I love the star card. Again, so simple. It's a star, but you do also have the other stars around it, but it's simply a star shining in the night sky, and I adore it. I pretty much adore the whole deck. I love that in a cute deck like this, which is just sweet, right? It has just simple, sweet images with lots of little cute skulls. I love that the moon doesn't have a face in it, because it very easily could have had a face in it, given this kind of a deck. But it doesn't, and that's perfection for me. Look at the little skull here. We've still got the waters. We've kind of got the image of a pathway between these two clumps of rocks, but it's the moon, I mean, and it's the sun. So those two together, very simple, no faces. It's just like, I couldn't, that's perfect. That's perfection for me. No babies, right? No little babies, no faces in the sun. It's just a sun with a cactus growing strong. Taking in that sun energy and using that sun energy, storing that sun energy up is just, it's gorgeous. I love Judgment. This, though, reminds me of one of my favorite tower cards, because you could kind of think of this as a tower from the Llewellyn with the waves crashing and everything, but I love the lighthouse here and the waves, but that's definitely different than you would think, because I would personally, if I saw this without a name, I would think the tower. But it talks about renewal, discovery, transition, and rebirth. Waves crash, lightning strikes, rain pours down. This feels like the end, like you're going down. But if then you see it, the light at the end of the tunnel, your hope is in sight. You can be saved if you head towards it. It may be hard. It may feel like you're never going to make it through the storm, but maybe it was a refreshing change that was necessary to wash away the grit. And now you can find your way home. So it's that sense of having been through life, because that's what, for me, the Judgment card is an assessment card that says, okay, it's time to stop, assess, figure out how you got to where you are, and then it's time to move on. And so this person, you know, you can think of this wave as crashing, and there's a lot that's going on. They've got to make it to the shore, right? They've got to get to the shore and then take a moment to kind of deal with what, you know, they've just been through before starting on to a new path. So it definitely is different, but it works for me. And then we have the World, which is just beautiful. Completion, fulfillment, satisfaction. It's a sun setting after a long and busy day, it says. I just think it's gorgeous. So that's the major arcana. And clearly, you know, I'm obsessed. I really don't have anything bad to say about it. Let's take a look at the aces. I've been forgetting to do that, which is not like me, but here are, I'm going to have to probably zoom it out a little bit, but maybe we can squeeze them in. We have the cups, for the cups. We have stones for pentacles, which are lovely. We have arrows for wands. Festive arrows. I think we're going to be able to squeeze them in here. And then we have swords 4 swords. So we have water, earth, and fire, and air. We definitely have some lightning strikes going on here, but we've got clear skies underneath. Again, very feather bedazzled arrows. I love it. I love the crystals. The cup suit is cute. Like, it's lots of cute little cups. Literal like mugs, and I love it. I just think they're adorable, but we'll get there. So that's the aces. Okay, so here we have the Ace of Cups. It's overflowing from this tea kettle, pouring water into the cup. Look at the 2 of Cups. This suit does just give me my cute, like, oh, it's so cute, but it's not a cute deck. Like, it works amazing. But I look at even the little tags are intertwined. It's just adorable. You see that sense of connection, having a cup of tea with a friend, or a lover, you know, your spouse you just got up, or a significant other you just woke up and you're sitting together to have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. I love that it's tea since I don't drink coffee. So yeah, it just works. 3 of Cups, again, coming together, and boy, we are springing for the whipped cream. It's a happy time. Flowers are blooming. Yeah. Then now we have the 4 of Cups. So we have the cup kind of off by itself a little bit. This actually works pretty well for me, because normally the 4 of Cups in Rider-Waite-Smith, which I do kind of feel like this is pretty Rider-Waite-Smith, is that sense of dissatisfaction or boredom, that type of thing. For me, this is like a retreat. It's just, you know, it's okay. Everything's stable emotional wise. We can sit on the shelf for a little bit. That's okay. We want to get back out again into the emotional world, right? But to me, it's an emotional stability, and it's more about a little bit isolating and boredom and boring and not getting out there and living life, so to speak. But it doesn't force me into that reading, so I can still work with it, which I appreciate. 5 of Cups, broken teacup or cup, you know, coffee on the ground. It looks like coffee to me, spilled coffee, right? So definitely have that sense of disruption with the number 5. But then things reharmonize again with the 6. I love the little tea set for nostalgia, right? But even when you just look at it numerologically, we've got all this chaos. Okay, we're reharmonizing things with the 6. We're bringing things back into harmony with the number 6 numerologically, with the cute little tea set. Oh, yes, I do love it. I love this one as well. I've never been a big fan of the 7 of Cups with all the different weird things in the cups. But look at, these are just different tea choices. I think it's adorable. It's still choices that need to be made. You know, you got to make sure you're making a rational choice, maybe making a right decision for, you know, maybe it's an herbal tea that's going to help us in some way. So it definitely still has that idea there, but I just love the boxes of tea. Look at, I mean, the 8 of Cups. It's time to move on. It's time to go find new ventures. They're packing up their cups. It's time to go. I just love it. And then look at the 9 of Cups. So we've got which is usually what, is it the 9 of Cups that's the wish card? Sometimes I forget that, but I think it's the 9 of Cups that's the wish card. Let's see if she mentions that in her 9 of Cups. Luxury, it's the luxury card. So you're just sitting on a beach in Hawaii. Not only whipped cream, but we're going the extra luxurious mile, and we've got, you know, chocolate chips on our whipped cream, right? I just love it. And then look at the 10 of Cups. We've got that abundance and that sense of fulfillment. Everything is growing together well, and it's just beautiful. Everything's good. I just love this deck. I'm sorry. Here we have the Page of Cups. I quite like the little letter here. You have some mail you're excited to open. There's new possibilities to the day. You're sitting there, the sun's rising, your coffee or tea is steaming. You're doing your little morning ritual. I think that's lovely. The Knight is making looks like he's making his list. Like this is more active. We're writing things out. We're planning things. We're bullet journaling. There is that sense of, and she talks about it in terms of time of the day too. She talks about here's the start of a new day. The night is the early afternoon. The Queen is the evening, and then the King is the night. So I don't know, I actually just noticed that. So that's quite interesting, and I really like that added. Let's just take a peek real quick because we can. Let's see, is that across all of them? Page. Yeah, it looks like that is, and it's the same coloration as well. So like here's the stones, and we have the pink, the blue, the purple, and the deep purple, and it's the same coloration. So I quite like that. Okay, now I gotta make sure I put things back correctly. Oh, there we go. I really do. I like that progression of time that's added in there as well. So there's the page, there's the Knight, there's the Queen with her crystal and her candles, nurturing, setting up that environment to be able to do the work that she needs to do. And then there is the King in the full nighttime. I love it. So then we come to the stones. And here we have the Ace of Stones. I love the Two of Stones, the balancing with the rocks. Love it. The Three of Stones, right? So let's see what she's got here for the Three of Stones. Teamwork and planning. It takes more than one person to be able to build this structure like this. Having to get them balanced just right. I love the Four of Stones because for me, it's about security and stability, which she does talk about. And just it's like one of those meditation sands, and it looks stabilizing as well. And it's protective. It's a little Zen garden. It's putting things in there to keep safe. It doesn't have to be miserliness, which I don't really resonate with, except for in shadow. And so I really, really love that. This was one that came up and I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. But it's unstable, right? It talks about water having eaten away the stone. And so what was a strong pillar now is quite unstable and is being not held. That mid part is quite small. And so we have that instability of the fives. So I love this deck. Here we have the Six of Stones. So here we have the I'm taking a breath because I get so excited sometimes about certain decks when I'm doing it. But we talk about supporting, right? This boulder is supporting the tree. And I just, yeah, it's perfect. So here we have the Seven of Stones. She talks about keywords of accomplishment, recognition, kind of assessing what you've done, kind of take that time to take a step back and see what you've done, assess it, appreciate what you've achieved to that point, which I quite like. Then we have the Eight of Stones, where we have that sort of, mastery of things, creating things with your hands. And we have these beautiful necklaces, crystal and stone necklaces. And then we have the Nine of Stones, again, satisfaction. We've got this garden well made and well planted. Everything is where it should be and as it should be. And that brings us to wealth. And then also legacy. We can pass on these gems and pass on our kind of an inheritance type thing where you might inherit your jewelry from your mother or your grandmother. And then again, we have the pages. Let's see if she talks about, she talks about morning again. As morning begins, what are you going to be learning? You're thinking about what you're going to learn. The night moving into mid-afternoon, the Queen being in the evening, and then the King being at night with all those power symbols on there. Nurturing and support of the tree, and then the power symbols. You can just see that energy there. Okay, so then that brings us to the arrows, which are the wands. I quite like the kind of red crystal on here, kind of reminds you of fire, right? So here we have the 2 of arrows. This one, again, I thought, okay, well, what are we doing here? We have a single arrow, though, with 2 heads on it, right? So we have that double energy, but pulling those together to accomplish things. She talks about this more as being choices and options and contemplation, 2 different directions that you could go in, really paying attention to where should you go. So that kind of planning out where you're going. We have the 3. So now we've launched our, our project, whatever we're going to do, we've launched it and we're waiting for it to kind of land and come into kind of full circle and see what we're going to get back from it. We have the 4 of arrows. Now, I will say on these, you don't always have, like this does have 3 arrows. That's not always the case. You can't really just count the arrows in order to know what it is. So we've got a lot of arrows here, but then we have the balloons here. So we just have that sense of the 4 of wands, that kind of coming together with celebration and kind of, you've completed this kind of first phase. Then we've got the 5 of arrows, which again, quite disruptive, as well they should be. Conflict, competition, challenge. Stop acting, it says, and start thinking. Make a plan and figure it out. But it is definitely about conflict, and you can see that. Here we have the 6 of wands, or 6 of arrows, where you have sort of the bullseye, and then another one goes right into the bullseye. So it's kind of, you're in an archery competition, and you hit the bullseye, and so people can recognize your accomplishment. So where the 7 of Pentacles is kind of stepping back and recognizing for a moment where you're at before kind of continuing on. This is other people recognizing what you've accomplished. We have the 7 of arrows now, which I actually really like this version of the 7 of wands, because you have that wall here, right? So you have that sense of defense and persevering. You're under attack, but a lot of times you'll have somebody up there and they got a wand and then they're fighting off to the other wands. I like that wall that just says, "Thou shalt not pass." Like, I'm just going to stand here and I'm going to defend. Here we have the 8 of arrows. Again, we don't have 8 arrows, but that energy, that wand, that fire creative energy is flying out there, and you've got to be ready to just grab hold when it comes, because it's going to be coming, and it's going to be coming fast. I love the 9 of arrows here too. We've got that perseverance, that sense of you've been wounded by your experiences up until this point, but you're just going to keep, you're not flying as well, but you're still going to keep moving. You're going to move on ahead, and I love that. And then we have the 10 of arrows. Now, this to me doesn't look overly stressful, or you've got that weight, but it's carrying the weight of all those arrows on that branch. So there is, and you can see, at first I didn't quite get this one, but if you look really close, you can see here that the branch is starting to crack. There's a lot of weight there. It's not broken, it's still holding, but it's definitely putting a lot of stress on that particular branch. So, love it. Here we have the, of course, page in the morning with the new little leaves, branches. The knight was all bold and brash and bright colors in the afternoon. The queen looks like sort of is going to go to a, what are those, maypole? It looks like a maypole. And then the king in the evening looking very solid. The mountains in the background and the line of fire. So I do really like the court cards here. And that brings us to the swords. So here we have the Ace of Swords. I love this 2 of Swords. I really do like this, because there is that sense of needing to come up with a solution to get across the situation and laying the sword out so that you can get across. I really do like that, finding your way forward. Like it a lot. 3 of Swords, very kind of traditional, but we don't have it stabbed into a heart, but we do have the blood here. But this still works for me, because there is still that sense, that mental growth, because 3 is a number of growth, and it's the sword which is in the mind, but it can come from difficult situations. It's a growth that can come out of difficult circumstances. Here we have the Four of Swords. It's at rest. It's taking a break, sitting amongst the flowers before it has to get up and go back and, you know, keep moving ahead. The Five, again, victory. You know, you've got that kind of machete stuck in the trunk. It's like that victory, but what is the cost? Like there's a high cost there with all the broken swords and knives at the bottom. The Six of Swords is kind of all packaged up and ready to be shipped off. It's the time of the swords is done, the time of the conflict is over, and now it's time to kind of wrap things up and head out onto to new horizons. I love it. I actually really like this one too. The Seven of Swords is always an interesting one, the idea of stealing things. I like that it's underwater because I often see the Seven of Swords, for me personally, comes up with that idea. Okay, you're seeing somebody taking some swords, but we don't know the whole story. We don't know why they're stealing it. It might be for a good cause. We really don't know. And so for me, it often comes up when there's stuff that's going on under the surface that you really might not be aware of. And that's exactly what, you know, the knife is under the surface. So for me, that works personally. Now, she does have it more traditionally of theft and deception and betrayal. And so it says, look at you trying to be all sneaky, jumping out of the boat and hiding underwater. You know it was wrong, running away like that, but whatever, you didn't want to be there anyways. Running away from your problems isn't a solution. Now you're going to be stuck at the bottom of the lake thinking of all your regrets. Being dishonest about what you've done will only hurt yourself. So you could, you know, you can read it that way, but I'm able to, which is what kind of the thing, even though this is pretty Rider-Waite-Smith standard, the way they're done, they actually work well for me. I can work my way around it easier than some other cards, so it's kind of a double bonus. Eight of Swords, stuck in the mud. Gonna have to use your brain to get yourself out of this situation. Gonna have to think of be resourceful and think of a way out of the situation, but for the moment you're stuck. Nine of Swords, you've kind of got the nightmare clouds there. You definitely have that things feeling wrong, the dark skies, and so it's just that sense of oppression and nervousness here that you see in the Nine of Swords. And then the Ten of Swords, you have the broken sword, but I can again work with. At the time of for me, the Ten of Swords, again, swords are about the mind and intellect. For me, the Ten of Swords is a mental processes that have seen their time. That's not that they were necessarily bad, but they are done, and it needs to be put to rest. And this is a sword that's time has passed, and it's being laid to rest. And it works quite well with the way that I would read a Ten of Swords. And then, of course, we have the Page in the morning, which is a little sapling. The Knight, strong and growing larger in the afternoon. The Queen, all flowering and nurturing here. And then the King, with its mighty, big curved sword. And again, that kind of idea of hills in the background, tying it. Also, these hills. I don't know if all of them had hills. I don't think so, because the cups, I've got them kind of whopper-jawed. Yeah, the king does have hills. I guess they all have hills in the background. But yeah, King of Swords there. So there we have it. I love this deck. Because not only do I love the vector graphic and the simplicity and the no people in it, but I also just love it because it reads just really perfectly for me. Cardstock is lovely, really lovely. It's kind of got that little bit of a silky matte feel, but it's not glossy. It's got a little bit of a sheen, but it's not glossy. It's not that full-on matte that you would feel like in the Medea Lenormand, but it's a nice feel to it, and it shuffles really well. It's got a nice shuffle. Now, I don't know, this deck was out of print, you know, when Jen had given it to me. And it's not been put back up, so I don't know how much this deck cost. I don't know. I'm guessing $40 because it's an independent deck, but, you know, I don't know that. But it feels good. Whatever the, you know, it's got that. Oh, that was really bad. It's a little stiff. It's not stiff, but it's not super bendable. But it still shuffles really beautiful, and if you get it right, you can get a nice little bridge too. So I quite like the cardstock. I think it's really nice. So let's take a look at the, now I'll just, you know, the way I have been using it, because this is what happens if I'm in a state where I'm doing quite a lot of draws for myself, it's just usually 3 cards. 3 cards to me is really ideal when you just need to get in there and see what needs to be said. So, you know, I'll just shuffle, you know, what is it I need to know right now? And I'll have the 3 of Swords. Of course, I probably need to shuffle it a little bit more. The Page of Swords and the Sun. And again, like I love to do, and I did this with this deck as well, you know, just lay 3 cards out and kind of see what does that say to you. Okay, well, we have that sense of balance. And some of that balance is going to come from stepping back and taking a moment to see, you know, things are still, it's a bit of a patience card. There's still more to come. But take a minute and appreciate where you're at, and that's going to be helping you to fill your cup, right? Again, don't spend a lot of time with it. Just see what does it say to you in a quickness. So we have the 5 of Arrows, disruption, right? But we're going to be, the sun will come up tomorrow. Take a moment to kind of sort your day out so that you don't get yourself stuck in a trap. Don't overthink it. Like, just go through and do 3 cards at a time and just kind of work your way through the entire deck. That's one of my favorite things to do with a new deck. But I have no clue how long this is because I did read a few of the things, but I don't think it's too bad. But let's just take a quick look at the reading that's in the back of the little white book. Get it up here. So it says Finding the Key Tarot Spread. So we have, the first card is going to be the issue, problem that you need help with. And this, I will do this actually for a friend of mine who has a little bit of a problem. I know they always say, oh, it's your friend, right? Oh, sure, it's the hypothetical friend. But I do like to have a little bit of a real situation to approach the cards with, because it just, I think, makes it more applicable. And I don't really want to do one for myself because that could get, I do that and it gets so personal. So I'm not feeling that at the moment, not with this deck. So here we have the issue. So the issue is that there's stuff going on underneath the surface, or you could read this as betrayal and that type of thing. I don't read it that way. We don't have the whole picture of the issue. Things aren't really clear. So right away, even with that card as the issue, we know, okay, there's stuff that's going on that you're not aware of. So number one, you don't have the full picture, and that's going to be the number one priority, right? As you're going to have to get a clear picture of what's going on before you can make any choices or decisions. The second one is for the moon. This is what you're afraid is happening, what you fear in relation to solving your issue. And here we have the Page of Arrows, which is interesting, right? With Page is something new. It's learning something new. So it's possible that the things that you don't, so what you fear, because this is what you fear. So if we don't know the whole story, and I think of the Pages of Wands as that idea of learning new things. And so there is that kind of fearing of, okay, well, when I do find out the whole picture, am I not going to like what I found out? I'm afraid of what I'm going to learn. So I might be putting my head, or this person might be putting their head in the sand, right, about what's going on because they really don't want to know. The next one is the main solution to solving your problem or advice to get you in the right direction. And here we have the King of Swords. So that's like that really, okay, yes, you might be worried about what you're going to find out. We can't be working from a place of unclear things, of deception, if you read it that way, or just of not knowing the whole picture. So the King of Swords comes in and says, look, we've got to sort this out. We've got to take control of the situation. We've got to figure things out, make a plan. Like, he's the king. He's going to be ruling the mind. We don't even know everything, so we can't let our brain go all over the place. We really need to pay attention and figure out what's happening and come to it from a rational mindset once we know all of the components. And then the star is what you hope will be happen. This is your ideal outcome for solving your problem. And here we have the Four of Swords. So right now, the ideal solution for this particular problem is to take a break, take a step back from it. Because we don't know everything that's going on, because you're actually kind of fearful about what you're going to find out, you need to get your head in the game. You need to get your head settled and figure out what it is you're going to do, make a plan for things and figure the whole story out before we move forward. So that means that right now, what would ideally happen is for you to take a step back and kind of take a breath for a moment before getting back into the situation. So it's a nice little spread. I mean, and again, I feel like the cards they just work really, really well. I just love this deck. I'm sorry. No, I did not get this from the artist. This was just a person who was, you know, sending on some decks that they had. So this is not a paid sponsorship. I'm just in love with the deck because it's just come to the table for me personally. I have not used this other than this little thing. I have not used this for anybody else. I don't really feel the desire to use this for clients as of yet. It just right now is mine. It feels mine, but it's beautiful. It reads really simply and really beautifully. As I said before, this right now, if you go to the website, you're going to see this out of print, but it is coming back into print if it ends up being a deck that you're like, oh my goodness, I really like that one. That it will be coming available with an oracle deck that, again, if you look at her Instagram, you can see some of the pictures. It's in the same, it's got the same backing with a different color. It's got a similar vibe to it. And so I'm really excited about that. And so there you have it. This is a look at the Idiosyncradeck. I can never say it correctly unless I have it in front of me. But it's a sweet deck. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have a lovely night.